only.
10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Up only.
Hello and welcome to Up Only TV. I'm Ledger. We got Cobie on the line. I think it's just the two of us today, unless he has some surprises in store, which, based on our pre-call conversation, I doubt it. So we're gonna roll with it. We're excited to be with y'all. Just shooting from the hip today. Thanks so much for being here. And go to uponly.tv/FTX to check out our partner. They're our exclusive partner for Up Only. Uponly.tv/FTX. You can trade there today directly from one asset to the other. You can trade with zero fees on the mobile app, very, very low fees on FTX whatever jurisdiction you're allowed to trade on. Do it all on FTX. Uponly.tv/FTX. Once again, thanks to them for being our partners. Cobie, how you doing?
All right, mate. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I've been a little busy. I'm a little stressed, but I'm good. Markets are...
Wait, you're stressed. What are you stressed about?
I've just had some...
You've got like a job, haven't you?
Yeah, I got a job. I've got, some things going on in life. This might be the last time that the audience sees
I
this.
see you.
This particular scene. So just been moving some things around and...
So you're moving house,
Yeah, moving.
not dying.
Not dying, to my knowledge. I count every day as if it's the last, I guess. But put that on your like this cursive sign in your house. How are you
does
doing?
This mean you sold the top, bought a new house, and like you pretended to be broke the whole way down? Really, you were laughing.
I wish it was so easy, but no, it wasn't quite that. It was more like, yes, let's commit to this tremendous obligation and then become poor the whole time it's happening.
Right. Fair enough.
What you been up to?
I don't really know. I never really know. Like what happened and when it all blurs into one. So I don't really know. Went to a farmhouse, had a swim in a lake.
Is a farmhouse the same thing as just a farm?
It's like an ex-farm. It was previously a farm.
Now it's like a
functional
bougie retreat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm gonna have a beer. I hope that's okay with you.
Mate, do what you want. I'm not your dad.
Cheers.
I'm drinking water.
Speaking of my dad, did you see that coin went up like 1 billion% this morning? And
Is he still down?
No, he's back in profit, baby. Congrats, Dad.
Wait, where did he buy?
I think it was double digits, but it was higher double digits. So he was down bad for a minute. Based on me saying when it was about 100, I was like, I think Coinbase is a value now. And then it went down by another 50%. Kathy Wood sold the Pico bottom, though. Did you see that?
She sold the absolute bottom.
Yeah, like she made the bottom. She was the bottom.
Yeah, it was like when it does like a sort of W bottom or like a triple W bottom. Mm-hmm. She was like on one of those legs. It was like she sold, and then it didn't break down any further. She was the last seller.
Yeah.
I quite like that. Like, I feel like she's like terrible at her job.
She's one of us.
Did she like fully round trip the entire COVID trade, basically?
Surely she didn't sell all of the coin that they held. If we did literally any research, we could look that up. But they definitely sold at the bottom for some reason. But they've still been getting what are they called? Deposits. Like people have still been putting money into ARK. But surely at some point they'll get withdrawals, and then they'd be forced to take some stuff out. But.
Do you think ARK is just like a social token?
I think it's like almost like a meme, like a meme coin for legacy because they buy meme stuff. Like Tesla is kind of a meme, Crypto is kind of a meme.
Didn't Tesla like turbo rip and like just went up like 1 billion% again?
Yeah, I know it went over 900. Like everybody it's 925. That's actually incredible. So Tesla bottomed at like 630, and Elon Musk's margin call for his Twitter purchase supposedly was in the 580s range. So I'm sure a bunch of people were like, "Oh, that's gonna go get tagged." I said that too. and it didn't, and went back to 900, up 50%.
Was it Kathy that said Ethereum's going to 200,000?
I believe so. No, our Kathy, same thing, right?
I maybe should start a fund and just say shit like that. People give you money. Like, we think Ethereum's going to $1 million per Ethereum in the next week or two. So give us some funds. We'll buy it for you.
Yeah, if you create an ETF, like what's the fee structure? It's not like a hedge fund where you get 2 and 20, but it might be like 1% management fee or something without no performance fee. So you'd have to get a pretty decent amount of funds under management to actually make it worthwhile.
Yeah, I saw Variant raised $500 million.
Who are they?
It's like the A16Z's crypto spin out before A16Z were deep in crypto, I think. So a dude called Jesse Walden, he wrote a bunch of the, like his writing from 2020, 2019, 2020 are all very prescient, sort of predicted a lot of stuff that would happen. And their first fund, I think, is just up huge because they bought when no one else wanted to buy. They bought DeFi before anyone wanted to, but they only bought the DeFi that like stayed big. They didn't buy like the stuff that went back to zero. But they sold nothing of their first fund. I was looking a little while ago to see if they'd sold anything.
They just took massive drawdowns.
Yeah, and they just held stuff. And I had a call with Jesse in April or so, and he was like, we have no plans to sell. Like, we believe in Ethereum and the future of Ethereum. So like, we think stuff comes back to value eventually.
Do they hold a core position in Ethereum?
I don't know. I doubt it. I think their mandate will be to outperform Ethereum, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know very much. I spoke to him very briefly, but they just raised $500 million for new funds, and like people have been raising a lot. And there's Binance have got a $7.5 billion fund or something. I'm guessing that's all their investments and stuff, not like
it can't just
fresh
be like
capital
seed
for
deals.
seed rounds.
But call me Binance.
Yeah. So I think it must be like fluctuating day to day.
I got a question for you on like hedge funds and stuff. Do you think that there's any possibility that they, in some future cycle, that they could succeed possibly as well as they did this last cycle?
In crypto?
Yeah.
Did they actually do that well? I mean, some people did, but like most of them nuked themselves in the final hour. Like the trader's got two parts, right? You've got to get an entry, you've got to get an exit, and it feels like a lot of them nailed the entrance and died before they left, or like blew themselves up on the way out the door.
I know quite a few that had their own customers. So I guess it's different if you're managing your own book. We don't really know how you performed, what you sold. But the ones that, they give distributions to the people that are involved in them, if they're paying back the initial contribution plus significant amounts, like that's pretty good. Not necessarily as good as holding Ethereum or Bitcoin from the bottom, but considering Bitcoin's basically the same price it was at the top of the 2017 cycle, if you've given somebody their money back and you still have significant exposure to crypto, maybe you've done more than that. Maybe you've done 2, 3, 4, 5 times their money back, and you still have exposure to crypto. Then that's a success.
Who were the best performing funds?
I mean, Multicoin had to be way up there.
Yeah, but then they distributed in kind or something, didn't they? And then did everyone sell?
They've been distributing in kind on some of them, yeah. But it's not like their whole book.
Yeah, I wonder if they had many wins apart from Solana, because like I feel like he just doesn't like their team just don't know what they're on about, and I feel like there's this thing, I think it was written by Martin Shkreli actually, that about like aping in, and it was written on Wall Street Bets like maybe 5-7 years ago or something, and I feel like they're the crypto ape in like one tier above retail in terms of like thought processes and analysis on their investments. Very much like, this is the first one, I buy it. Like, this is good. I like the logo, like type thinking.
Yeah, I don't know. They've won pretty big on Helium. Now that I think about that one.
Helium's a thing that's like got 0 users, right?
Yeah, I actually kind of like it though.
Wait, you can't say that's all of them.
Well, they have a lot. They're one of those where they have this massive distribution of hardware, but not necessarily people using the networks.
Yeah, but they incentivize the hardware running.
Yeah, so the
token
coin
emission.
is essentially it's like yield farming for running a node and a hardware node in real life. So they're node providers, the network security providers. I think some of them have been upset because the well's running dry and the users aren't really there on the other side. I think they also had some fake partnerships or something, which is kind of a classic thing, but I don't want to besmirch them. I don't know all the facts, but there was like supposed partnerships with Disney and somebody else. Lime Scooters, thank you for the chat. It's actually Kyle Salami in the chat. So
I read a thing about Helium where they were like, where it was showing what their revenue is. It's like $6,000 a month, and like what they've spent in equity or token emissions in the last year was like 300 million. It's like costs 300 million.
I guess
revenue.
I guess the point though is to do this like really decentralized set of nodes that provide 5G service and can both work independently and integrated with other 5G providers. So I think if you get like good city coverage and then it's business development stuff from that, assuming the tech works, right? And if your nodes are actually providing like high quality, high speed internet, that's something that everybody wants. So maybe there's a reason for it to exist.
Right, but if you were actually trying to run this as a real business, right? If you were actually running this as an experiment, wouldn't you go, all right, let's try it in London. Let's set up a load of nodes in London. That won't cost so much to do. We'll set up a bunch of nodes and we'll see if we can get any customers. We'll do the business development in London. So if it works in London and we find some users and we have some product market fit, we've got like something working, then we'll spend 300 million to put this stuff all around the world. And then we'll get some more users that are similar to the ones that proved they liked our product, rather than spending 300 million. I know it's not real 300 million, right? Because Helium spends
that's
nothing,
the whole
but it's
difference.
their own
like,
token.
If it was Ethereum that they were paying the people or something, it's one thing, but it's Helium. So like you just let people speculate and pay the 300 million. Now that turns into this scenario where now they're upset because the ROI on their machine or like the payoff period is like 30 years to pay for their $1,000 node or whatever. But it's fake internet money, so it's the risk.
What else can we pay people to do? Because like that's what you're doing, right? You're paying them in a currency that doesn't exist or some equity that you've just made up in order to do a thing that you want in order to justify a valuation. So what other stuff can we pay people to do? Could we pay them to set up like a Ledger's hot dog stall in their house? And it's like, you set it up, we'll spend 300 million in equity for all these hot dog stalls globally. And put your face on all of them.
Is a hot dog stall? Is that like a street cart? Like
yeah. But it's got your face on it. That's the important bit.
This one, the meme, remember that?
No, different one. It's custom in it. It's like a franchise. They can put whatever face they want. They can choose from thousands of images.
Gotcha. I'm sure they'd all be.
That's very similar to what they've done, except it's just a node instead of a stall for.
Yeah, but isn't that like half of crypto incentivizing people with their token to actually go do something, and then you have to figure out, do they still want to do something once the token's gone?
Yeah.
That was yield farming.
Yeah, and it's like most of the Web3 thesis of A16Z as well, right? It's like if you pay people in tokens to grow, you'll grow really quickly. And 1 in a million of these things, or 1 in 1,000, or 1 in 100,000, or whatever, will like work and become the biggest company in the world, and then other people will do it and they'll be invested in a couple of them, which will return the whole fund. So like they know that most of them will fail. That's just the business of VC. Everything works on power law. So
pay people to tweet, the bit clout reincarnated.
A16Z also have so much capital under management now that I think they get 9 figures of management fees annually. It's like more revenue than most crypto protocols have. They just have so much money in their
So they don't actually have to.
treasury.
I mean, surely they have to. They have to perform over the course of decades in order to justify getting all those inflows. Like they're winners of the Web 2 era, have equipped them
Yeah, they're
to
some
now
of the best
receive.
investors to ever exist. Yeah.
Yeah, so now they've received billions and billions of inflows, and they're earning their 9 figures.
Yeah. Must be a good game.
You should play it.
You get a lot of responsibilities, I feel like.
No, you don't. Look at everybody else that did it. They just
You just use your own money, it's the same, right? Like the amount you have to raise in other people's money for it to be worthwhile is an order of magnitude larger than your own buck. And if you can do that, then it's maybe worth it, right? Because if you say you can 10x, let's say you've got 10 million, you raise 100 million, you think you can 10x it, then it's probably worth it on 220 for you to do that rather than just 10xing your own buck. Also, there's significantly lower risk because
it's just
you're
yours.
using other people's money. But if you're reasonably confident that you can 10x it, you can do it on your own, or you can take 20% of the of 10xing the 100 mil. And 10xing a larger buck is probably even harder. So for most stuff, it's not. I just feel like it's not really worth it. Plus, then can you like act as quickly? Do you get everything in your mandate? If you want to do the most fucked up, risky, dodgy, on-chain, degen shit, it's bad. If you lose money, you have to then write a letter to everyone being like, oh, I did this thing. It don't make any sense to them. And they just think you're an idiot. Whereas if you lose your own money, you go, yeah, I'm a dick. And then you go to bed. You have a couple of drinks, you go to bed. So I think it's just really not worth it. But if you're at their scale and it's all sorted out and everyone's hired and you're just a figurehead and all you do is tweet and stuff,
Well, that's the way to do it.
very similar to my current life.
I think that's the way to do it, to where you don't have to stress out as much about those things. And other than if you have a pride component of how to place the funds, right? And you want to be involved in placing the funds. But if you can essentially outsource all of the hedge fund wrangling and management, which there's a lot of hedge funds in the world. There's a lot of ways to outsource that, right? Like you just poach people from good funds and, you know, use money to leverage that. And then I'm pretty sure a Cobie fund could be $1 billion fund in short order.
Yeah, but then you've got $1 billion of responsibility.
No, you don't.
Like,
that's what we're just saying. Like,
you kind of do though. Like it's on your name. It's like if you lose it all,
yeah,
you feel like
if Cobie fund goes through a bull market and, you know, Ethereum goes from 2K to 20K, and Cobie fund goes from like 1 billion to 500 million, it'd be pretty embarrassing. Like you wouldn't allow that to, your personality would not allow that to happen.
Yeah. Although just accepting other people's money and doing really basic stuff with it seems like a good deal. So we're going to buy Ethereum. We're going to like do a little bit of here and there. Like we'll put like 10% into all the weird stuff and then we'll just wait for 15 years. And then I just never think about it again. That seems like it's a worthwhile.
I still think a lot of people would subscribe to that. Like a lot of people don't want to deal with custody of their stuff, or if there's like a really big decision that needs to be made. Like we're going to go from being primarily Bitcoin weighted to primarily Ethereum weighted. Like we're going to go like this, whatever. Aptos is the thing people are talking about now. So
can I do this?
Yeah.
Can I raise a Cobie fund and then take opposite positions with my personal funds? So no matter what, I've won. Like either I win on the management fees and the performance fees, or I win in my own buck. Is that legal? That sounds like a good deal too.
There's got to be some kind of
that before.
ethics. Yeah, there's got to be some kind of ethics issue there. But I don't know. Somebody in the chat says Ledger just wants to get his grubby little hands on other people's money. I am not proposing this for myself, nor do I want to do this myself. I just think Cobie could do it. He has. I would rather if I was dropping.
That's why it's called a hedge fund. Because you just hedge your personal book with other people's money.
That's awesome.
Oh, amazing. That's great.
Yeah. I'd rather give you a bunch of money than most of the funds out there.
Look, you can do that anytime you want.
Well, I want the money back.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you think funds will outperform in the future? what they did at this time?
I mean, it depends if you just have mania again, right? Like if you have bull market mania, then yeah, they'll do fine. They get that, like, in many ways they don't take much personal risk. So these funds, this fund Variant has just raised, for example, they've raised $500 million, and it is their mandate to deploy it, right? It's not like whether they think it's going to go up or like how's the cycle going to play out or whatever. They have to buy. So they find the best deals available, they buy them, and then they raise another fund so they have more management fees. Like that's the game of funds, right? You just raise as many as you can so you have more like assets under management, and you take a percentage of 2% or whatever on that. So they have to buy stuff. So they're sort of agnostic to whether is there going to be another cycle? Will we have alt mania again? Like how's all that going to play out? People are giving them money to give them exposure to this asset class they don't understand. They say, you're the experts on this asset class. If it does well in the future, I want exposure to it. So like if you have that sort of mania again and regulations don't get, I think you probably do, because like at the end of the day, it's a casino, and it's a casino that arbs regulation by being decentralized. Like I think it'd be extremely difficult to turn Ethereum off for any powers that be. Similar for Bitcoin, you can turn Solana off reasonably easily. You just need to spam the chain, and it goes down. But you know, they reboot it again. Anatoly gets the 7 validators into a Discord group, and they kick it back off. But so I think there probably is another mania at some point. I don't know how far in the future it is or anything. But in that mania, I think they'll do great. And I think if the distance between manias is large enough, a bunch of them will just buy shit that just goes sideways forever. And by the time mania comes, it's not even relevant anymore. There's no narrative. It's just nothing. So probably like their job is to just buy seed deals. And some of them will hit like some good ones for the next like round of the casino.
Seems to me like it might be dependent on the path to liquidity for funds. So if you have a protocol, you want to raise money, you realize that you either need to or want to release a token, then if it's hard to raise, the thing you'll probably sacrifice is the time to liquidity for the investors, because that's what they'll fight for. Because if you say, okay, well, we want to raise $50 million, and the investors say, sure, 12-month lockup is the maximum we'll do. And the only other way for you to raise is to raise way less at a way lower valuation. And you say, well, we want you for the long haul. We want 36-month lockup. I feel like that there's still an appetite for that, right? If you get liquidity for those funds that say, hey, we need a shorter window to guarantee our ability to have liquidity. Not that we're in it for the long term for you guys, but you know, it just helps us sleep at night a little bit or whatever. And I think that could enable people to win well, because the 2 and 3 and the longer lockups, which occur like as the market goes higher, and people are coming by money more easily, makes it to where it's probably harder to profit, because the likelihood is you're going to get unlocked in a bear market or when the coin is forgotten or whatever.
I wonder if these long lockups are even helpful, because I don't really know, but I feel like a market is healthy when it has proper price discovery, right? So I wonder if long lockups actually just facilitate overvalued projects or overvalued tokens, and it's great for seed deal, like the people that are locked up, and probably extremely good for founders, but not really good for anyone else. So in the crypto community,
because it enables a massive markup because so many people are not able to sell.
Yeah, it fundamentally misbalances supply and demand, right? You just take a bunch, there are seed people that probably would want to sell at certain valuations, but they can't. So it decreases the selling somewhat. Maybe some sell OTC or whatever, but it will decrease the selling somewhat. But the buy demand stays the same, because the apes on the other side want some tokens, and there's less available, so the valuation gets out of whack. And if you talk to like the average for like retail governance forum goer, they'll want longer lockups. VC should be locked up for 8 years, 6 years, 10 years. They're going to dump on us, and it just means that they dump on you worse. Like, healthy markets have price discovery by the people that want to sell being able to sell, and even like the good like funds or the good trader VCs, they'll sell stuff early. They sell stuff too late. They make mistakes.
Make all the same.
Yeah. So like by locking them up, you kind of force them to hold, which yes, removes their ability to sell the top, but it also removes their ability to sell what they might think is the top on their way up. So I wonder if it actually having much shorter lockups is better. Like if you bought something in 2018, 2019, and you were locked for 2, 3, 4 years, you got force held to the top. You might have wanted to sell in 2019 when the market's nuked. You might have like panic sold 2020 because you wanted to recoup into the COVID crash. A lot of these things could have changed hands there, but instead they got force held to the top, and then they go, oh great, fuck, I'm unlocked, I'll fucking dump now. Whereas if they'd had 2-year lockups, they might have panic sold earlier, and you'd have had healthier markets that might not have got super overvalued and might have ended up being fairer. So it's not even clear to me that these long lockups are really good, particularly when you factor in that every crypto VC is completely useless. Like they don't do anything at all, but that is the optimal state because they're so bad that anything they did do would be detrimental. It's like crypto VCs do nothing is a compliment to crypto VCs. That's what you want from them. Like they're going to be so useless. They're going to be bad for the project if they try and think or try and do anything. It's going to make things worse. So when you take into account, it's just a financial transaction. You get the money to fund your project. They get some tokens. You should let them panic sell it whenever the fuck they want. Like if you give them no lockup, they can sell it straight away. It'll make the market more efficient. It'll make the valuations more in line with reality. Makes the float higher on the market. So I don't know. I know there's lots of arguments for the other side too. I've just tried to play devil's advocate to it.
Yeah. You think that's the same whether it's equity or token?
No, because equity, you can't sell it so easily, right? So like,
right.
There's not an instant market. As soon as a token's launched, there's a Uniswap pool, and that's that. And people can sell, they can panic sell, they can do whatever they want, they can add liquidity, they can buy more. And it would even give you really good signal on investors, better signal than you have now. Like if you dump on the unlock, you've held it for 4 years. Like who can tell you that's bad?
Yeah.
If you dump on the unlock and you bought it 3 weeks ago, then you maybe you don't want that investor again.
Yeah. Well, they would lose their reputation for future deals.
Yeah, but like it's also in the team's interest to lock it up for much longer, right? Because if the team has much lower float, it puts the valuation way higher, which is very good for their like personal net worth. So I don't know. I don't know what's best. In equity, you just have to wait until liquidity events like OTC, future fundraising rounds like secondaries or IPOs or acquisitions. So I think it's very different there. But yeah, it's just not clear to me that really long lockups is even good. Like healthy long term for the project. It's clearly good for the initial insiders.
During a bull market speculation period, especially.
Yeah. And tokens are never really locked either. Like there's no such
sell
thing.
The contract.
Yeah, the people sell the SAFT, they sell the private key, they sell, some legal agreement to transfer the coins. In a bull market, there's tons of people willing to bid those things. Tokens are only really locked if there's no buyer. And if you're locked and you have no buyer, then people are going to dump on the unlock anyway, no matter when it is. So pushing it out to the future only makes things worse for the non-insiders because the price is much higher than it would be because the few buyers that do exist have very little supply to buy from. So I don't know. I don't think it's clear to me. I'd love to, like, if there was someone smart that's thought about these things, I'd love to read like some actual analysis of like what projects did well, what were their vesting terms, how did like what happened. But I think the data there'll be so little data and the VCs will be so different and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, there's also other ways, like you can hedge oftentimes for the bigger projects that end up with a FTX perp or whatever, but it might be expensive to do so. I mean, I guess historically, coins, people get paid to short oftentimes during a bull market, but not always, and could create interesting dynamics. But even if you're locked, if you think something gets way out of whack and you have insider knowledge of the protocol as an investor, you might also choose to hedge against it in a like a perp style product.
Yeah, that stuff's weird as well, right? Like at first when FTX started doing that, I was like, this seems like sort of criminal because they're just like listing these perps and these perps only go down, and the only people that surely this is attractive to are the people that are hedging their own like locked spot position. But then it's like what actually these markets are. They're just like when it's an odd perp getting listed, not like a really big popular coin or something. It's like some weird asset gets listed. You've never heard of it before. It has little volume on the spot market. I think that's Sam telling you, I think this is overvalued and most people would short it. There needs to be some way to short it. Like he wants to short it himself and he's offering that opportunity to the rest of us. Or maybe it was just so Alameda.
The most bullish signal is something gets listed on FTX, but there's no perps. It's spot market only on FTX.
Yeah. But can you use spot leverage on those markets and like leverage sell them, or people need to be lending it, don't they?
Yeah, you can on FTX US, or you can on like certain other types of markets. But on perps, it's not spot driven.
Yeah, I was just wondering if they need spot lenders basically for the spot leverage to work.
Right.
Yeah.
That's more how.
So if you're spot lending your tokens, you're supporting the bears.
That's true, but you might just be squeezing them, so you never know. That's how margin works on the FTX US side, though. It's not
the other thing that's weird about FTX. Maybe we shouldn't just spend a bunch of time dissing FTX since like their
I'm not dissing
logo's
FTX.
below your face.
They're providing interesting products to the world.
But the other thing that's weird about FTX is if you close a short position, but you put the wrong number in slightly too much, it just longs for you. It just opens a long. So like, let's say you short 10,000 Ethereum, and then you accidentally close 20,000 Ethereum. Like close short 20,000 Ethereum order, it longs 10,000 Ethereum. Well, because it closes the short and then goes, fuck, what do I do with the rest of this close short? That must be a long.
There's got to be a checkbox for this, like a post-only order or something like that. Yeah, wait, is that what post-only does? There's a button for this, Cobie, pretty sure.
Look, I'm a retail trader, so I don't know about the buttons.
Yeah,
I don't know how.
It's one of the options, like reduce only. Thank you. Reduce only or post only depends on.
So it's not really just an FTX. It's just me displaying I'm a retail trader, and I don't really know how the exchange works.
Yeah, they did. After our argument about whether you pronounce it TWAP or TWAP, they did release TWAP style ordering. TWAP orders. No one pronounces it TWAP except for you. You're the only person.
That's fine though. I like pronouncing stuff wrong and just sticking with it. I don't care. People pronounce stuff in different ways, and sometimes that's how I do it. I told Stanny from Aave that he's pronouncing Aave wrong by saying it like that. It's Aave. And he said, sorry.
Sorry, you are wrong.
But no one says TWAP. TWAP's... You don't say I'm TWAPing in.
Yeah, you do.
I'm
sure.
twapping in. I'm twapping in and I'm twapping out. That's how you trade. You twap in, you twap out, and you do good. I don't. I just market.
I was about to say. I like to pay the Alabama research tax, so I put in a limit order, but like above the actual ask, and then just like let them fill it. and you end up
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
a limit price for the majority of the order, but you might get like 10% filled or something on the first bit. So like a little bit at market, mostly at, and then you have a few cents different or whatever the coin is and the amount between exchanges for a hot second. And Trabuco just smiles.
Yeah, he eats the order, distributes it elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So have you been trading then? Have you been swapping?
No. I don't even use the reduce only button. I just like primitive tools. Just buy, sell, market, and it's nice and easy. A limit here and there a limit order is as far as I go. That's too much for me. Well, but when I started doing this stuff, those order types didn't exist.
Yeah.
You were on an exchange that didn't even work. They didn't have like functional order books. So sometimes you click on the order book for where you want the price to be. I don't know if anyone else does that. But like instead of typing in a price, you click on the order book at the price you want. In the olden days, sometimes you do that, but it would sell only to that order and skip everything on the way down. So it didn't like match you with the best prices. It just sold onto the order you
That sounds
collected.
like a Poloniex or Bittrex type of thing.
Yeah.
It skips all the others. Well, to FTX's credit, Coinbase Pro still has the same orders they always had. Like they've not, like that product, I think they've finally deprecated it now, but it hasn't changed at all. So
I used to like using Bitfinex, but their tax reporting tools, or just any of their analytics tools for your account are so dog shit that they just don't work.
Like you can't export a CSV or something of your trades.
They have an API and they have CSV export, and the data is all wrong.
Oh yeah,
it's like guaranteed to be wrong.
That's not just them.
Into loads of these tools. They all give you the same thing, which is incorrect.
Yeah.
So the same output. So the data is wrong. It's not the tools that are wrong.
I did all the API connections and stuff for the tax service that I use. And then they were like, yeah, we need the CSVs. That didn't work. Like half of these, they've got the API connection for the read-only tax reporting, and then they don't work, so you have to do the CSVs anyway. It's all a disaster. It's
yeah.
I don't want to rant on taxes, but it's still, if you do a significant amount of trading, it's almost impossible to actually report properly because getting the accurate information is very, very difficult.
But the FTX API is pretty good, I think, and Deribit API is pretty good. A few of them work pretty well.
Yeah, there's a few of the centralized exchanges that are good. When you go on chain and then you start moving stuff from an exchange to on chain, then back to another exchange, whatever, it all gets screwed up. So something will be like, oh yeah, your cost basis on that was 0.
Yeah. And I tried to at some point last year, tried to anonymize my on-chain stuff. Partially because having a public on-chain thing that people follow is sort of pumping, right? You buy stuff and then people can just copy you. And if you buy some illiquid shit, that's kind of just pumping because however many people follow you on Zapper.fi. So I try to anonymize everything by sometimes selling, buying, putting LP, selling into my own LP, withdrawing the LP, and just doing all these weird
trying to
things.
hide it.
Yeah, and then I was like, okay, what about if I have one position per address? So it's
oh my gosh.
So I got 1,000 addresses. And reconciling that is obviously not great.
I like that when people are like, oh yeah, I didn't pump that. I just bought this obscure, cheap, not minted out NFT from my .eth that's also in my Twitter handle that 300,000 people follow.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I try to anonymize everything, and I'm mostly done. I think
it work?
It's pretty good. I think it's mostly done.
Do you have any wallets where Nansen or somebody thinks it's somebody else?
Yeah, so for a while, a Paradigm wallet was tagged as Cobie. Someone was like, what's going on here? And I was like, I don't fucking know. And then I had to message Alex, be like, what the fuck is this? And it was Paradigm. I don't even know why. It was had nothing to do with me. So I have no idea. But yeah, I don't know. How do you think? Have you participated in this bear market rally alt season?
Yeah, I actually played like DeFi Dinosaurs for the 40th time, and it finally worked a little bit.
Did it?
Yeah, I mean, it was good.
I mean, Uniswap pumped quite hard, didn't it?
Yeah, so I had a nice chunk of uni, and now don't know now. I'm out of Uniswap, but I played whatever. It had like a 30-40% move, which was nice. Made up for most of the trade that you made fun of me for multiple times. The daily setup tweet. You have several favorite tweets that you like to make fun of me for when ETH was at 1,800 and immediately nuked. So I lost a significant percentage of my like still in crypto liquid net worth doing that, and you just laughed about it all the time. So thanks.
What? It was just so perfect. It was a daily setup that I can't ignore, and then within 5 minutes, minus 50%.
Classic. Yeah, so I had a rough few trades there, but I made up for most of that stuff through the DeFi Dinosaurs, which was nice. And plus ETH and BTC. BTC moved really freaking slow though. What did it go to from like 18,000 to 23 if you captured most of the move, whereas ETH doubled off the bottom, and then a bunch of DeFi stuff did really well after ETH did that. So like ETH went to whatever, got back up to 14, 15, 1,600, and then Uniswap went from like $6 to $10 or something, 6 to 9, something like that.
A bunch of stuff is like 10x off the bottom, like 10, 12x. There's a few things I did that have 10, 12x off the bottom. I'm like, should I sell these things? Yeah, I'll just leave it, see what happens. There's some stuff that I just owned for so long that I'm just going to, I'll just see what happens now. It's gone to zero so many times. Like, what's one more time? Doesn't, I don't care. I don't care anymore. It's just, I'm not selling that. I'll just keep it forever.
I'm impressed that anything had the capacity at 10x especially if it has any liquidity. But I mean, I feel like we're in this realm where people are still expecting those types of multiples when the vast majority of things, even if they pump, that plus 50% type of move, you should be freaking thrilled about it. And it seems like a change to the market where a lot of people still expect like, oh, there's going to be more, and you really have to dampen your expectations a bit. Do you think that's right, or do you think I'm just bad at picking the things that are going to pump the most?
I think it's difficult, right? Because like sometimes you get these periods of stability post pump and you get a little alt season, and some stuff really does like 10x or 12x or whatever. But there's been, it's like the capital is more concentrated now. Whereas in the bull market, everything was just going up and everyone was buying everything, and it didn't matter what you bought. You got like a 5x to a, if you were really good, a 100x or whatever, if you picked the right thing. And if the thing you bought sucked, maybe it went 5, 10 or whatever up. Whereas now, since the bottom, stuff like Optimism is up tons.
GMX, I think.
Rocket Pool is up like 5, 6, 8x off the bottom or something. There's a bunch of stuff that I don't want to say the name of.
I can say them because I don't have positions in most of the ones that perform really well. I think GMX was an interesting one just because it got a lot of volume, has really high fee share. I have no bag and have been coping while my friends who've owned it have made a bunch of money in it. That
did pretty well. But there's a bunch of them, right, which have from the bottom are so much it's just nuts. It feels like a real bull market run. And then you have some stuff like Castor. The bottom was like 5 cents and it's now at like 6. And it's just like it was a straight line down like everything else, and it's just still zeroed. It's like, and so the stuff, instead of all this like new capital flowing in, just buying everything and like making all the tide rise, it feels like the money that is left in the ecosystem is hive-minded into like, you need to buy the right stuff. Like you need to buy what the hive mind is buying. because there is no like, it's not like everything's going up together. The sidelined capital is pouring into a certain group of things, and then they're going to like fight to get out as well.
With slightly
So
different
I think there has
profiles
been
too,
like
right? Like
sorry.
with slightly different profiles too. So like the Aave Uniswap trade was, oh, look at these things that worked perfectly when everything else fell apart. But then there's also the stuff that's like, ooh, this is a merge play, or this is a thing that's just cash flowing like crazy despite the bear market. You know, like they all have kind of their own little narratives.
Yeah, exactly. So like I think there's much less money in the ecosystem, but they pile into stuff that is working. So you still get these decent pumps, but clearly like there isn't enough money going around to move majors. Like you said, Bitcoin did extremely poorly in the bounce. It's like only it's like 22 now, and the bottom was 17. So it's like
crap.
Yeah, and like it's just on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 7 just red days in a row. Like it looks anemic.
Whereas with
and
Ethereum,
like
even if you bought like the recapture of $1,000, you know, like it went to 880 or something like that, and then by the recapture of $1,000 plus 60%,
right? Like it was 100% off the bottom, not even.
I mean, that's pretty good. My expectations are very low.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Clearly, there's not enough like money in the market to like make those things move. A ton, and the rest is just people concentrating into like the popular narratives or the like whatever the current meta game is, and it seems like a mix of like, or it has been a mix of Ethereum season with like liquid staking derivatives, layer 2s, Ethereum Classic, like the proof of work, counter merge trade, those kind of things doing well, and then DeFi 1, like DinoFi getting a bit of like tailwind or something from that. Like, oh, if everyone comes back to Ethereum, then maybe synthetics will go up one day or something. But every time synthetics goes up, Kane just presses market sell just to punish people. And then the other thing has been like cash flow season, right? So like anything where it's returning dollars or Ethereum or whatever to holders has done pretty well, and like GMX has been one of them, which is the derivatives on
chain derivatives, Arbitrum,
on Arbitrum, and there's a similar one on Optimism, right? There's a similar project with a bunch of cash flow. I can't remember its name.
Chat's shilling like crazy, and so they can tell us which one somebody's bad.
Yeah. But I mean, even that's interesting, right? We can't really talk about crypto. Like we run a crypto podcast and we can't talk about it. It's fucking stupid. And if you do, so many bad outcomes come from it. So like you can't have like if I said now, wait, even trying to explain this can create an example. So if I said blah 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 token, and I made something up, someone will just go make that
create the coin
Uniswap instantly, and it will go to zero. But in a bear market, maybe you can talk about stuff a little bit more because like the majority of the people have gone, at least the people who like ape into stuff have gone. The appetite for aping is gone, and there is no expectation that your words will create a short-term price movement. Blah 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 tokens getting minted, isn't it? Yeah, I see that. Yeah. So it is interesting. You can't really talk about crypto stuff if you do a crypto podcast and you want to, you don't want your podcast to result in other people losing money. I mean, it does anyway because we start and the price goes down. But
is it doing that again?
I think so. I think it probably did. I've stopped looking at it.
Yeah.
So I would like it more if I was able to talk about actual crypto. But unfortunately, if you talk about crypto, everything is kind of like showing an investment. Like the only time you can really get away with doing that is like pre-token. So if something launches, it's really cool and it's a cool product, you can show that and you feel fine about it. And then eventually they'll bring out a token and, you can not talk about that anymore. And like sometimes it's fine if the product is extremely mature or the market cap is really high. Like I feel like it's fine to talk about ARV or synthetics because you can't move the price because Stanny or Kane
We'll dump on you.
controlling the entire market. It's fine. And like, if this was a podcast about tech or fintech or something, right? I would be shilling like fuck because you try and make your investments win. You would do everything you can to try and make your investments win. And in crypto, it's just like, I don't want to bother with that. Like so many things have done right. I've done it in the past, like with good intentions, it goes wrong, and then people get like financially damaged, and it's your fault. And you're like, well, all right, I won't talk about that stuff anymore. And yes, it's weird. I don't know how you handle that. Like, it'd be cool to have like really early stage founders on and talk to them and be like, talk to them about their mechanism design and why you think their product's going to work or fail and whatever. But then that will go to zero in 6 months and they go, Ledger status is a total scammer. He asked about this thing.
Blockcoin.
It's gone straight to zero. They got hacked and they lost all their money. Like if we'd had the founder of Nomad Bridge on, because doing optimistic bridging seems like it's like a good idea, and then they make some contract update and lose all their money. I don't need that abuse in my life. It's not my fault their bridge got fucked.
Did you see how they linked their like market update for the hack on a Google Doc?
Nice.
Yeah, they just.
My favorite part of that saga was Binance. Binance put up the blog post with a fraudster's address. So Binance was like, please return the funds here. And it was like some imposter's address. That was my favorite part of the whole thing. Like, I love this industry. Everything that goes wrong does go wrong. Everything that can will.
Are there parts of the space that you think will do really, really well next cycle or just never come back again?
I think a lot of the stuff that never come back again that's like worth talking about is stuff that has a big treasury, because I think a lot of things where the part sucks will just like sort of transition into on-chain hedge funds. And you see this happening like now with like there's a couple of projects with like 9-figure treasuries who are hiring like traders to be like treasury managers, and those traders or investors or whatever are taking like a legal agreement that like they're not in trouble for managing this treasury or whatever. And I think a couple of those will do okay, much better than their product will have done by a few years from now. So I think you'll have a lot of like zeroed products that just turned into an on-chain hedge fund. If you go back to the ICO era, there are a lot of companies that launched through ICO that pivoted to something else and now have 9-figure revenues, but their token's worth 0. So I think you'll see a lot of those things where someone figures out an interesting niche and sort of like just ignores that the token exists and goes like, hope no one ever mentions that again, or like intentionally like degrades, like stops supporting it or something. So I think you'll see a bunch of them. What I'm interested in is like this on-chain derivative stuff has started popping off, right? Like clearly people are much more comfortable with like self-custody and the crypto ethos without having to use a centralized exchange, no KYC derivatives and stuff like that. Gives people in draconian countries that can't use derivatives access to such things if they're willing. And that's only really become possible because of like roll-ups or low fee chains or whatever. So I think the interesting place to look at is like what new capabilities are achievable because scaling is improving or because fees are low or whatever. Like Ethereum scaling hasn't improved dramatically.
Nobody's using it anymore.
Yeah, no one's using it. So like fees are at 0. So certain use cases become viable, and Optimism's launched, Arbitrum's launched, Matic have launched like 9 or bought 9 different scaling solutions and stuff. So what are the things that get unlocked because that scaling comes online. And unfortunately, tons of it is like gaming, I think.
Unfortunately,
possible.
you just don't think that's
Yeah,
good
I just think
use
it's so like they're just trying to ram it down your throat, and I don't think the users really want it. I'm sure some of it will do fine. I just don't like the world in which GameFi is big. I don't like that world. I don't mind the idea of all the players, instead of paying the company, splitting the funds between like paying the company and having an ongoing prize pool. So it's not like play to earn, like every player earns a salary playing this game, but then the token just goes down and they've got to get their jobs back. But I do kind of think it's like the redeeming model is perhaps like everyone pays for the game as normal, but at the really, really competitive elite levels become financialized. It'll make the game even more toxic than they currently are. And, but it's sort of like bootstraps an esports scene where there might not be one. And if the game is really big, being good at that game has some upside, like being good at real life games. You get sponsored by Speedo or imagining you in Speedos now, which is not the prettiest.
I don't think you want to see many gamers in Speedos either.
So I don't know, but I think that there are a lot of use cases that are not currently possible because Ethereum doesn't work properly, and none of the other chains do either, that become available when scaling kicks in. Whereas I think most interesting DeFi primitives have already been discovered with our current sort of scale. I think you're going to start seeing a lot of copy trading stuff happening. There's like Parrot or something. Someone told me about the other day, and there's that, I can't remember what it's called, Murad guy came back from a 3-year hiatus to start promoting it.
Is that his thing?
It's like I don't remember its name.
SFTX or STX or something. It's initials.
Yeah, like Sticks or Stacks or Swix. I don't know.
STFX.
So I think there's a bunch of those, like people trying to do different stuff, like straight copy trading, like you copy trade an address. One is like trade vaults, where someone suggests a trade and people ape into it, like that vault. So I think there's a lot of those kind of things happening. The alt layer one trades has kind of stopped working. Like Ethereum fees are back to zero. So Avalanche and Solana and stuff haven't been outperforming Ethereum on the bounce. And their respective Ponzi casinos are also not in great attendance anymore. Plus, all the bridges are getting hacked. So
literally all of them.
Like maybe I'll just keep my funds on the main chain for now, I think is the attitude of a lot of people. So I'm interested to see if that comes back. Like, are you going to get the same trade again with Aptos and Sui and Monad and all these alternative layer ones, like the new generation of alternative layer ones? It's like we're like Solana, but like faster. And then they're like, we're like that, but even faster. Like, bro, we're so fucking fast. And like obviously the big VCs have just said to all their portfolio companies, oh, stop building on that chain, come build on this chain. And they're trying to do the whole thing all over again. I'm interested to see if that works in this like bridge hacked world. Like is that something people want still? And will roll-ups replace that? And I don't know how that's going to go. So that'll be interesting. That's something I think is worth watching out for.
Aptos is just not a very good name.
But neither is Sui or Monad. Monad sounds like more nads, like more testicles. That's a terrible name. Sui, like as in suicide.
I have no idea.
Like it's down bad. I think they're all pretty bad.
Aptos.
I actually think Aptos is the best out of the three.
Might be. Just makes me think of the Mentos, like the things that you drop in Coke and they fizz all over the place.
What, Aptos?
Yeah.
Mentos, Aptos.
Mentos,
yeah, I see. Yeah, but I mean, if you think about it, then like Ethereum's quite a bad name too.
Yeah, sure. That's fair.
And at the time, Bitcoin was maybe a good name, but Bitcoin,
It's coins made of
maybe
bits.
the name don't matter. Like Avalanche is a bad name. Solana's a bad name. Don't matter, does it?
Oh, we've crapped on
Oh yeah,
Solana a lot.
gonad.
But
Gonad literally means generals.
I feel like
gonad,
Solana's not a terrible name. It rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
Near is a pretty
That's
good
fine.
name. I don't really know
Near?
what it means, but yeah, it's a pretty good name.
Is it? I don't know.
We've never really agreed on what's a good name or not.
Yeah, you wanted to call this podcast Token Talk, which actually, given market conditions, might have been better than what we've got at the moment.
Yeah, instead we just get the same joke in every single mention.
I'm also interested to see like a bunch of the stuff that didn't perform well this cycle. What happens to that? Because you had the alt layer ones that did really well, like Avalanche and Solana and temporarily Luna. And then you had the alt layer ones that didn't perform so well. Like your Tron didn't do as well. Cardano didn't do well.
Older stuff.
Relatively. But the Cardano community was like, oh, we're building slow. We don't care about like this pump. And we don't care about this market cycle. We're trying to do things properly. We'll be ready in like 10 years. Yeah, Cosmos didn't do as well. It wasn't as hot. So I'm interested to see what happens to them. Like, do they just fade out, or are they actually taking it slow and will be a force to be reckoned with when like Sol Lunar Avax becomes Aptos Sui Monad or whatever.
We got to come up with better ones.
Yeah. So I don't really know. Often I don't really know ever. Like I don't really know until I know. And I think I hear a lot of like VCs, like the guy from Framework and stuff. They've always got their theses, and here's like what we think is going to be big in like the next 5-10 years. And he said something about a specific company, I think called Stardust or something. It's like these guys are going to be huge. Screenshot this tweet and do whatever you need to do. I'm like, how do you know, dude? Like, like how do you have all these theses about the future? I know when I like see it and it's sort of happening, go, shit, we need to do this quick before everyone else realizes. But some people feel like their cognition is much further into the future.
I wonder if it's partly just
LARPing?
how many pitches they get. You know, like they see the difference between people pitching them on a call and kind of selling what the tech is and whatever, and some just really stand out significantly.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, do you take a lot of those types of calls? Like, do people just pitch you stuff?
I never really bother taking the calls. I specifically say I don't want to have a call. Like if they want to pitch me stuff, it's fine, but I want to see messages in a deck and I don't want to talk to them. Because I have to come like sit here or wherever I am, got to put my headphones on, and I'm like, I don't want to faff around with that. Like I've got Pokemon to play and stuff. I'm in a game of League of Legends.
It's gonna hurt your hedge fund career.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. It's like a bunch of responsibility. Then you've got to take those calls. You have a fiduciary responsibility to your investors to take those calls and find the best projects. And it's like, just buy them on market when they start working. It's like you could buy Solana on market at like 50 cents or something.
Yeah.
When it was clear that Sam was going to like back it. Like Sam's tweet was like, I'll buy everything at $3.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you didn't buy the SAFT or whatever. And if you bought the SAFT, then maybe you bought the EOS raise. Just buy the ones that are working. But maybe I can't look far enough in the future. All these
Solana,
smart investors.
That Solana environment that gives me regrets. Like just put your net worth into that. Do nothing for the rest of the year. And
yeah. Don't even need to sell the top. You can sell halfway.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You 50x plus.
Yeah, it went up an extra 100%, but I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
but I do think a bunch of people did that. They're just not the people that talk about on Twitter. Like every time I post a tweet where I'm like, can I borrow someone's boat? I'm in blah, blah, blah. Has anyone got a boat I can borrow? Or whatever. The people that always get back to me are always like, they've got 3 followers. Their username is like Jimmy 0065281190. And I'm like, am I going to get kidnapped? And they're like, oh yeah, I quit my job recently. I got into crypto in like 2018. and I put everything into Chainlink and Solana, and I cashed it out in like May 2021. And yeah, it went higher, but I was happy
I have
with
a
that.
boat.
And yeah, they got a nice boat and they're chilling. It's never one of your usual crypto Twitter suspects going, "You can borrow my boat, good friend Jordan, take it away." It's always Jimmy 0521 whatever.
Come to Alabama, you can borrow a forklift.
Thanks, mate. Yeah. In hindsight, Sam saying he would just buy everything at $3, that was
pretty good signal.
He was doing you a favor there. Similarly, at the absolute bottom, both CZ and Sam were like, "The worst is over." They like just basically said, "This is the bottom."
What you mean at the ETH at 9?
Recent 3AC bottom.
Yeah.
They
were a little more subtle there, don't you think? Or did I just miss it?
CZ said something like, "The worst is over for now." And Sam like posted a thread like at the bottom tick saying like, "Oh, we think it's done."
So what do we do? Just go sideways now and bleed a bunch of people out who are trying to overtrade it?
Well, maybe, but like Ethereum, if you can like revisit 940 without making new lows, and that's still pretty ugly, isn't it?
I wouldn't like that at all.
Yeah, so I don't know, but in the UK, it's like super cocked. They just did the biggest rates rise for 30 years or something, and they said that inflation's going to peak at like 17 or 19, I can't remember, 17% next year, like deep in 2023. And there's going to be a bad recession, but they're going to like raise rates anyway. It's going to last for a year after this coming Christmas, but they're going to raise rates anyway, and nothing's going to get in the way of like getting inflation to 2%. It's like nice of them to tell the truth. Like at least the Bank of England tells you the deal, whereas like Powell just says the wrong thing the whole way. So it's transitory, no recession coming. Well, we'll have a recession.
We're going to have a soft landing.
Yeah, we're going to have a soft landing. Onto the like. It's because you hit the ground and the next thing you feel is the heavens. So they're cushioned by like the clouds of
all my pain is gone.
Yeah. So I genuinely have no idea. I feel like I've got no edge. I have no idea what's going to happen. I think it's better to be flat and not lose money than it is to miss out a bit of profit here. The only thing that like fucks me up is that BitBoy is sidelined and constantly coat posting, and I'm like,
you gotta be careful. He'll try to sue you or something.
Yeah.
So the thing that I don't understand with all that is if inflation is going to be really, really high and we're also going to have a recession, do we actually know what that means to like real assets? Does real estate go to zero? Like everybody's wanting housing crashes and these kinds of things, or pricing.
It depends how high they push rates, I guess. Like if they in the UK in like the 70s or whenever or 80s, I don't remember, rates were like 20%. Like your mortgage was 20% interest rate or something. So I think housing does pretty poorly in such a scenario because most people won't be able to afford their homes anymore. But I just don't think that they can put people in that position because like at some point the economy is supposed to serve the country rather than like economy for the sake of the economy. And the real thing they want to avoid is like violent unrest and stuff, right? Like it's like the goal of the economy is to make the insiders rich, but really there's like a break clause, which is like, okay, if we're going to have violent unrest, it doesn't matter if we're rich. So let's stop doing the rich thing if there's a chance of violent unrest. So I don't really know what tools they have besides like turboing rates and hoping that it gets itself in order. But in history, I don't think there's been a time where inflation was curbed without putting the interest rates to the same rate as inflation or higher than inflation. And if inflation's hit ignite 17% and rates need to be higher than that. But I don't understand this stuff. I'm going to be honest. I don't.
Well, the highest really actual print, at least in the US, is what, like 9.1% so far.
Yeah, and it's like 10 something in the UK.
Yeah,
and I think it's going to like go up another 70% from now. Whereas in the US, like at least they're telling you the truth of what they think is like a bad scenario and like bad things can happen and this is how we'll deal with it. Whereas I feel like in the US they're just like inflation's peaked now. We're good, And then just they keep going on with it, and then all of a sudden like, probably hasn't peaked, but don't worry, you're not going to lose your home. And then, I've lost my home. Well, we'll build shelters.
In different parts of the world, though, like the actual interest rates on the things you own vary significantly. Like in the U.S., there's a lot of there are still variable rates, but a lot of people, most people, I guess, have like a 30-year fixed mortgage rate. So if you can afford wherever you lock in, then you're probably okay. There are some places where the structure of the system basically forces you to a variable rate, and you just can't even control it. And it's like, oh, well, I'm just going to eat it, whatever the rates go to. It's going to dynamically change my mortgage, yet I'm not changing my income to be able to match it. I think that's the case in Canada right now. It could be wrong.
Similar in the UK, you don't get super long fixes in the UK. I think a lot of people will be on variables, but rates have been so low for so long that they probably don't even know or realize or whatever. I was watching where was I? Maybe New Zealand. I was watching a news segment, and there was a woman who had taken out like a 500k mortgage, instantly variable, and then they raised the rates 1% and she instantly couldn't afford it. She's like taking it out, and like 6 weeks later she couldn't afford it anymore. And it was like, who wrote this loan? Like, who wrote the loan knowing, like, did she lie on an income assessment or something? What the fuck? But like, I think there'll be quite a lot of that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how the coins work, so I barely understand basic maths. Like, I'm not gonna laugh that I know how any of this stuff is gonna play out.
But
that's why I feel like it's after you.
Let's just say your disposable income goes down because prices go up on the things that you need the most, whether it's housing or, fuel, whatever, food. Probably not a great sign that retail is going to go buy a bunch of crypto.
Yeah, but I do wonder if you have like a weird segmentation of people that really feel the effects of this stuff, and then like this weird wealthy elite that don't, and the weird wealthy elite are putting $500 million into the variant seed like fucking fund. Well, I think half of it's for seed rounds and half of it's for liquid tokens or whatever. And like crypto's got its own weird wealth effect, right? Where there's a bunch of people who made a bunch of money on crypto and won't ever do anything apart from buy crypto in the future because they think everything else is a scam or they don't understand it or whatever. Those are the people that seem to form bottoms. And they need to like sell to the euphoria. But I don't know. I also like kind of got worried about a dollar crisis before I comforted myself with the idea that I don't know what I'm talking about. Because for a while I was like thinking, well, if the Dixie, is that what you say? The Dixie?
Yeah, well, the Dixie is...
I just want to try to think of a different name, but you can't really pronounce it in any other way, can you? If the Dixie keeps going up and the dollar keeps like outperforming all other currencies, or other currencies keep devaluing to the dollar in dollar terms, then you're going to have like a financial crisis similar to the housing crisis in America, where interest rates went up and, housing went down and all these people couldn't afford their mortgages anymore and there were loads of bad loans and blah, 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 blah.
You think that'd be a problem in the U.S.?
So that was the housing crisis, right?
In 2008.
And they called it the financial crisis. But like now imagine the exact same thing, but loads of businesses and countries that have dollar obligations or dollar-based debt. And it just gets more and more and more expensive to pay it off because they have...
Because your country is getting wrecked on a relative basis.
Yeah, so if you like run a business in, I don't know, Mexico, they have the peso.
Yeah, peso.
Cool. Called a peso. Great. So if you're in Mexico and you have a business and you take out a bunch of US denominated debt because you have dollar costs and stuff, and then the cost of your debt goes up by 10% or 15% because the dollar pumped, but you're in a recession, so your actual income's going down, then you're in a really fucking tight bind. But instead of you just having to capitulate your house to the the banks, like in the financial crisis, you actually have to wind down your business and fire everyone, which deepens the recession because those people lose their purchasing power. And you end up in a weird dollar doom loop where the only way out really is all these other countries printing tons of their own currency, further devaluing versus the dollar in order to pay their dollar denominated debt, which is like every other currency to basically zero. And all these businesses with dollar debt and all the governments with dollar debt getting super nuked. So what does the US do? Does the US like print more to devalue the dollar relative, and like does like the US try and bail out Japan by like doing currency swaps with Japan? Like I don't understand how that works. And like then you maybe think, well, the US is kind of fine, like they just let everyone else suffer. But the US imports so much stuff that
sucks for them
and the
too.
shops are empty when people want to go buy food. So maybe the US can support those other countries by importing even more and spending more in those countries that are suffering. But then I was like, okay, the good news is I don't know what I'm talking about. So this scenario that I'm like thinking of has tons of levers that I just don't understand and I don't know exist. So I can stop thinking about it because A, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, and B, I can't do anything about it. And then I was happy again.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's just a matter.
Releasing yourself to I can't do anything about it is always helpful. On the other side of things, you're basically right in the macro sense of what happens with a super strong dollar. Ray Dalio writes about this in his books. They're really, really good. Big Debt Crises, and his most recent one was something about power shifts or something. It's kind of centric to the U.S. and China relationship. But both of them are excellent. And what you've described is basically, like, I think, like a balance of payments crisis. So to your point about in Mexico, if your debts are all in dollars, they just get bigger and bigger on a relative basis, even though the numbers stay the same from a dollar perspective. Your currency is garbage. And that creates massive problems, yeah. And
so I had another question. I'll ask you, and maybe someone in chat will be able to answer. But when I was thinking about the dollar crisis stuff, I watched some video for some, like I signed up to some macro blogs, and I don't know if they're good or not. And someone sent this video about the dollar crisis, and I watched it. And then I was like, I was maybe a little bit high at the time, but I started to like, I don't even know how to explain this, while drinking water on a 9 p.m. on a Thursday. When, let's say I make you a loan, yeah?
mm-hmm.
You borrow money from me.
Right.
But I'm a central bank. So when I issue debt, I just invent the money, right? So I just make up a bunch of dollars and I give them to you and then you owe me them back.
Yeah.
So I'm the central bank of Cobie. You want some Cobie dollars. And you come and you're like, can I have a loan of 1,000 Cobie dollars? And I go, cool, yeah. I print 1,000 Cobie dollars and I give them to you, right? And then you've got them and you owe me them back. But I'm charging you an interest rate of, let's say, 20%, right? So I've given you 1,000 Cobie dollars, and this is the only loan I've ever made. So there's 1,000 Cobie dollars in existence. You wait a year. Do you owe me 1,200 Cobie dollars, but only 1,000 exist? How's that going to work? How does that work? So, does anyone understand how that works? Have I understood money wrong?
Wait. So
why do I
only owe you 1,000?
Well, you've borrowed 1,000 from me, right? So at some point you've got to give me this back. You've taken a loan of 1,000.
Yeah,
but there's an interest rate. But I'm not printing the new dollars for you for the interest rate. So you owe me.
Yeah, well, money is created by debt. Like debt creates money in the economy. So like the bank.
Yeah, so I've given you a loan of $1,000, which is now like debt, right? And I've printed that money, but you owe me 1,200 back, but they don't exist. I haven't printed enough. How does it work?
Well, you started with being Cobie the central.
I want to live with this question forever. There's going to be a really rational explanation, and the explanation is that I'm stupid. But
no,
I just want to live with the question forever.
No, but you do start to look at everything as if it's a giant Ponzi when you start realizing, like, how does that money cycle through the economy? So
yeah, so I think the answer is, like, if there's high enough velocity of money, then you can pay back even though the outstanding debt is more than the money that exists. because it just goes round and round and round, right? And you get it from them and you pay it back like that. But
Right. Because I'm
closing the Cobie central bank. It's closed. You owe me my Cobie dollars back. I don't understand it.
Yeah. So I would take that money and then theoretically go do something else economically productive, and then the money would enter the economy again on their end. Like the process that, you know, goods and services go through the economy, money is created several times from that initial debt. And at various points of it, new debts are created, and you're earning your interest, and, you know, the debt is still manageable, and new money has entered the ecosystem that's much more than the initial debt creation. But that initial debt creation was a form of money that is now in the economy.
So the economic growth has got to be sufficiently large so that it
to justify,
masks the interest rate.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to, the economy has to grow to suffice paying off the interest owed.
But what I'm saying is, if I did this on chain, if I made this into a coin, that would be a scam.
No, that's what all coins are. When you
if the regulators called me in and I was like, look, they owe me more money than exists, but listen, if it grows enough in the next few years at the right rate, then it'll all pay itself off. That's a scam.
No, it doesn't matter. Everything, like when we were talking about helium earlier, the creation of the helium token is inflation. That is the creation of money, but not via debt, but via someone told someone else that it's money. And then it goes and trades on the market, and it's worth more money because an order book right on the edges says this is how much it's actually worth. And so you're literally creating money out of thin air and token creation the same way that you do with debt.
Look, all I know is it's a good job that I discovered the coins in it.
Yeah, because
I was struggling with like the basics. Like, how do I do my budget? Where does money come from? Who fucking knows, dude? Money comes from Vitalik. He made it up.
You would have figured it out.
Anyway, let's do this coin thing because you just told me it's fine and I'm not going to get in trouble. And if we do get in trouble, we'll say it's performance art.
Well, I don't know if when you start talking about
commenting on the real world.
When you start talking about promised interest rates and stuff, it looks a lot like BitConnect.
Yeah. But that's the base money.
Yeah, BitConnect is the base money. Not that much different than the way fiat currency works, I guess. You know, you just put a little bit more out there, and the economy grows, population grows, everything's okay. You just need more babies. I don't feel like
it's okay no more.
We
need more babies.
Yeah, this is the Elon Musk theory, basically, right? Like, you need more babies to create more demand, to create this flywheel effect on the economy as a whole, and also humanity's ability to survive, or whatever else he cares about with, you know, throwing the babies into space or whatever. But yeah, like more people, bigger economy, better flywheel for the debt cycle.
Yes, if you're an asset owner, you just want overpopulation. You just want as many babies as possible.
That's right.
If people have loads of babies, the next 40 years of the market's going to look really good.
Yeah. But if you actually look at the trends, it's like Japan, fewer babies, Europe, fewer babies, America, not lower growth in terms of people having babies. So that's not great for the world economy. So we need
but if we make a play to earn game for kids, people might have lots of babies in order to put them into the workforce early, which might actually help with the recession.
You're asking, can you create a startup to encourage people to have sex?
Yeah, well, I think like people are going to be struggling in the recession. So if they can have like a kid who's like 3 as another earner in the household, that'd be good. And somehow we'll make it tax-free because the game will include gambling, and gambling's tax-free. So, well, it's tax-free in some parts of the world. So I think we'll have 3-year-olds gamble to earn, and we've solved the recession.
I think the birth rate ticked up quite a bit with COVID lockdowns too. You know, people were locked in their homes, didn't have anything else to do, so they had babies. So just lock people down again.
Yeah. Don't you have to go soon?
They canceled my meeting, but yes, sure.
Fine. I was gonna say you're like I need a hard stop. Like
I
20
did.
to-
I did. I had a
20 to
I had a meeting at the top of the hour to go look at something, and it was canceled.
What happened to teen executive?
I became a man, I guess. I don't know. He's 17 now or something,
Just
probably.
an executive now. And it's
Yeah,
not
just
not boy
executive.
anymore.
No, he's still a teenager. He's probably probably a senior in high school. About to be. School's about to start in America. We start really early.
Fair enough. Is there any other crypto things we want to talk about rather than us just saying we don't know how stuff in the real world works, like having babies and money?
Yeah, we need like a good macro person to come on the show and explain the economy to us.
The thing is, I don't know how to know what a good macro person is.
Oh, I have a
know what I
couple that I
mean?
like.
Yeah, but if you like them, it don't mean they're good. It just means they say stuff that you like.
No, like I try to have a diverse listening appetite.
Oh, so we can leak Arthur. Everyone's saying Arthur. We've scheduled Arthur. Arthur is coming on Up Only.
Breaking news.
So we can confirm that now.
I like Lynn Alden. She's really good.
Doesn't she just constantly tweet Ethereum's a scam?
No, she's just
think she does
she's
some, like,
highly
weird
skeptical of
propaganda.
Ethereum and likes Bitcoin. But I think we should have Lynn Alden on, but she's not allowed to talk about crypto.
Great. That is what we're going to talk about. I don't know how anything else works. I
talk
barely understand how crypto works.
I'll ask
Like,
her about like grains. You know, what do you think about the cost of farming? Its impact.
it's a good character arc for Gainsey. You can swap to Grainsy. And the bear market's so bad he's trading grains. Just pivots. Grainsy.
Grains. Wow. We're getting more people mentioned. We already had Raul on, so Ethereum has not gone to
Does
20.
Raul actually know what he's talking about? I'm very skeptical.
People within the like whatever the traditional legacy market Twitter people, they have mixed opinions.
That was a lot of words to say. Don't know.
No, he's like divisive. Some people really
Yeah,
dislike
so
him.
I saw some of his tweets from 2019 that were prescient and played out well, but then sometimes you say stuff and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of macro people are super doomers, which makes it hard for them to be right very often. So yeah, I don't know. We can talk about it off air so I don't just like throw out more names and, you know.
We don't really talk off there.
We'd have to be a chat. I'll have to ping you like 3 times for it.
Do you think we've spoken like 99% of the times we've spoken being like
Actual
live streamed
voice?
to other people?
Yeah.
We've spoken like less, like the amount we've spoken,
At least
99% of it is viewable by strangers.
Yeah, at least 95%. Probably much higher. Probably like 97, 98.
Yeah.
We said bring Chamath on for macro talk. Literally just wants to dump his bags on everybody.
Yeah. Jim Cramer.
The Kramer counter indicator is really high quality. Did you know he's only 5'6"?
No. I don't really know who he is. I think he's an American thing.
Yeah, he's a CNBC guy. He's on TV like all day, and he's very annoying. But
I find it quite weird that there's CNBC. I guess that's a popular channel.
Yeah, it's like the financial news channel, kind of like Bloomberg, but not as good.
I find that quite weird. Like they talk about investments and shit, and it's like they say the bottom's in. So it's like this, but like for
the shilling is pretty severe. Yeah, like they can talk their bags, they can do whatever they want.
that don't exist in the UK. I don't think.
Yeah, you'll just have the
I find that
BBC.
quite weird.
Do you have like BBC financial version?
Don't know. I don't own a TV, so I have no idea. I have no idea. I haven't owned a TV for like 5 or 6 years.
Watching cable news finance stuff it's like relying on BitBoy for financial advice. That is YouTube level.
The women's England football team won the Euros. Do you know the song about whether football's coming home or not?
No,
Oh.
you've lost me completely. You went to did you go to a football game?
I went to the greatest football game in 66 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Was it fun?
it was fine. Yeah, I mean,
I
don't
was like, I
really
didn't think you did sports.
No, I'm not really bothered, but like I got this feeling that they were going to win, and England haven't won anything for like 60 years. And I wanted to go
Since World
chant the
War
chants
II.
in the fucking ground. And I was like 3 hours to kick off, and I was like, is there any way I could get into this thing? And there was, and I went, and then they fucking won. But there was a while when it was 1-1 in like the last minutes of the game, and I felt very stressed, and I was like, I don't know how people that actually follow football go to this stuff if they support a team and it's 1-1, and it's like, I don't care about these people. The outcome of this game has zero impact on my life,
But it's very important.
and I'm like fucking stressed. I like really want them to win.
That's why people like sports.
We won, and it was amazing.
That's a great feeling. That's why people like sports. American football season is also about to start, which is very exciting for those of us here who like that type of
And
football.
like Tom Brady's like 50 now or something.
Yeah, he's still playing.
That's good.
By
Are
the time-
you and Tom Brady the same age?
No.
Are you
He's-
older or younger?
I'm younger and still envious of Tom Brady from a physical form perspective. He's in great shape for an old man. He's like 43, something like that. And in great shape. Like he's still a top performing quarterback, which is incredible. 45. Oh my God. 45
He's
years
45.
old. 45. Oh,
What?
that's awful.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And he has an equity stake in FTX. I can't even claim that either. There's going to be so many FTX ads this fall on like national TV. Do you think the other crypto companies will run out of budget for that kind of stuff? Like is Coinbase
I think
gonna...
they'll start cutting back now. I don't think I'm under NDA. I was talking to a company a crypto company is buying a different crypto company's F1 sponsorship off them, so they can break early or something. I think we'll see a lot of that. I think people mismanaged those things and jumped into contracts, and things got worse than they thought they would very quickly. So maybe, but
All right, I got another question for you before we go around price stuff. Do you think that there's a chance that the bear market bounce, whatever, like kind of if there's a wall of worry and you end up with Bitcoin 30K, ETH 3K, is that high on your probability scale, or do you think it's more likely we just chop around or go super doomer?
well, you saying can we get there?
Yeah, like do you think it's a reasonable probability?
I don't know. Those are Udi's price targets, so I want to
really?
fade it. I want to fade it emotionally.
29K. So
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's like I would sell everything in the high twos if we were going up again and it looked like it was getting there. I'd sell before 3 at least, I think. But I don't know. I always feel different when it happens. It looks a bit anemic right now, so I'm not super sure. It's previously looked really healthy, and then there was this like faltering of some kind and a bit of a stalling. So I don't really know, but like nothing happens for the next month, and nothing happening right now is like a good thing, I think. It's like a month, or August is chilling. The Bank of England stuff I think was poorly timed. It brings people back to reality, and I think at some point people go, oh yeah, the world is still quite fucked. I remember how it felt in the middle of June, and it was like we're actually going to zero. So I think like August being reasonably clear is a good thing, and can like aid the probability of the bounce continuing. But I do
probably
think
presumes like the merge stuff stays on track.
yes, the merge is going to be mid-September,
really
same time as the Fed
month.
meeting.
Yeah, like 6 weeks from now.
Yeah, I don't know. Is the merge even bullish? Who knows? Feels like it's going to be a lot of chaos at the moment.
I mean, if it actually
I feel like
starts
the period
burning-
after the merge is more bullish than the event the merge.
I mean,
It's
emissions.
like the merge happens and like who gives a shit? It's just like, oh, they didn't fuck it up.
But don't emissions immediately start going down significantly?
Yeah, emissions go to zero,
Yeah.
but like that doesn't kick in for a while, right? Like if you have zero emissions, there's still like the supply and demand balance from the people that bought.
Yeah, it stays the
day before.
same. Yeah, it stays the same until it's felt on the market that there's no new Ethereum coming on.
Yeah, so then there's like what 8 to 12 months of zero emissions, which obviously will misbalance the scale. But after that 12 months, all of the staked ETH gets unlocked in a queue. And the queue's gated, right? So like it'll take a year or even more for all of the staked ETH to exit if it wanted to. All exit on day one. It would take a year or more for it to go through the queue.
They put like a
So I don't know. Maybe the
line on it.
most bullish thing is just like they didn't fuck it up. Like they are competent enough to do this thing that they promised to do 7 years ago.
It's pretty impressive in crypto land.
And it also depends on how is this fork thing gonna go? Like, does anyone think it's actually gonna have value? Who's supporting it? It seems like it's just Justin Sun, Chandler at the moment.
Oh, is Justin Sun behind like ETH-POW or whatever they're calling it?
Yeah, ETH-POW.
If that is announced, it's not like, oh, we already did the snapshot. That seems bearish. But if it's like, hey, there's gonna be a snapshot of Ethereum at X date in the future, that seems like it'd be pretty bullish.
But the snapshot is the point of the merge, I think.
I like
Yeah,
that.
it would be the block
So
of
sell
the
the
merge.
news.
And I saw someone, maybe it was Chandler, say like it would be weighted too. So they do Ethereum and then they do all tokens on Ethereum weighted to the market cap of Ethereum. But I
But
don't
you
know
get
where.
ETH-POW for holding shitcoins?
Yeah, based on the like value versus Ethereum and like sort of ratio to Ethereum. So like,
So altcoins might still pump harder than Ethereum.
but also stable coins.
Oh
Maybe. I don't know.
man, why you got to pull a Degen Spartan like balloon deflation?
Yeah. I don't know. But like the Bitcoin Cash version of this was incredibly lucrative.
Yeah.
But who knows how this version goes.
People actually sold Bitcoin Cash for like 0.1 BTC each.
Yeah, it went insane. It was so high. And like you just got it free and you got to sell it to Roger Ver. It was great. I don't know who that buyer is for ETH-POW. Like
Yeah, you don't have
I know
somebody-
Justin's smart enough to like oh, best of both worlds. If it works, I have a lot of ETH-POW. But I don't think he's a person that's going to be like, I am market buying ETH-POW with all of my Ethereum, like Roger did for Bitcoin Cash.
Yeah, you need somebody with that severe conviction.
Yeah, so I'm not super sure. What I do know is if you look at when Bitcoins existed on a 1 year chart of the SP 500, it was a straight line upwards for the 10 years, 11, 12 years that it's existed. And I think if we were still in that environment, I would be super bullish on this bounce now. I would be like,
Bottoms in.
yeah, like it's going like 3.6 at the very least on Ethereum. But because I don't understand everything else, and the bits I do understand are not great, and it feels like if the bits I understand properly, and I might not, I probably don't, but it feels like a slow motion car crash sort of thing happening. A lot of people will be injured, don't even know they're in the car yet. Then that makes me much more hesitant. It feels like there are forces at play that I don't understand, and I don't really like that. So I just go like, well, I'll just chill. Like I don't want to, like you won't risk your life on a game if you didn't understand the rules. So I'm not going to bother. My gambling days are behind me. I'm a much more sensible and mature person than I was
For now.
in my early 20s.
For now.
Yeah. So I don't know. Who knows? I don't have no edge.
If anybody has an edge and wants to come tell us, how do we make money when everybody else is losing money? That'd be great.
Well, like buying the 3AC liquidations and all the Celsius stuff like that
Yeah.
felt reasonably easy. Like I've had high conviction that they would bounce from there.
I think that's a good point. If you spend the majority of your time on the sidelines, and then rather than the majority of your time in, but then you have these moments where you're like really high conviction and you go like take quick opportunities. Probably some upside there.
Yeah. Yeah, but like when the bounce size, I don't know how the bounce is going. Like it could go 1400, it could go 1700, it could go 2-1.
Yeah.
Like who knows? But like I didn't think that it would make new lows again, or I didn't understand how maybe some weird news would come out later and surprise me. But like 3AC borrowed every single retail deposit in crypto and then force sold it at the lows.
Still can't believe it.
And Celsius like did the same thing, right? Like they force sold all of their customers' assets. They like, I think Celsius was the last market sells on ETH, sending it into the 800s. Like there was just a dude operating Celsius's buck, just pressing like market sell. So I didn't know who was left to sell there, but like,
I feel like it's gonna be a long time before we actually get all the understand everything there. I still don't know like how big is the hole for these different entities, you know? Like even for 3AC, like they've got a bunch of locked stuff that probably has value that's gonna have
Did you see that the Starkware thing? Like the liquidators didn't do the token warrant?
So did the warrant come up like during like when the
The
liquidators
warrant was expiring
Oh jeez.
and they didn't do it.
So they just
It would
don't
have been
have
like
Starkware.
Yeah, so they would have had about like 9, maybe even 10 figures of Starkware, and the warrant exercising would have been like $1 or $10 or something, and the liquidators didn't do it, so it's just like goes poof, it's gone.
Like
That's so bad.
Does some lawyer from Starkware not like reach out to the investor more aggressively to say like, hey, this execution?
Yeah, they reached out, but the liquidator was in charge.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, aside from that though, whether it's them or Celsius or whoever's like in some kind of trouble where they got to figure out like what is the hole, like when do we get more information about how big those holes are going public, you know, because some just have customer funds locked and whatnot, and it seems like
I think it's probably all reasonably public now, at least what we'll get. Like there's no reason for anyone to make it public later unless they're in court or something, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Were
there any good chat questions that you wanted to address?
I haven't been watching. I find it distracting most of the time. I watch every now and again, but I have not been watching.
I saw not too long ago about the 3AC NFT portfolio. Like, how would that get liquidated? Like, do you just throw it all out at once, or do you a giant auction for the whole portfolio or something? Or I think something like that would be an interesting process.
Also, it's like kind of in some contention, right? Because it's like kind of a separate entity, but is it like a subset? So there's the Vincent Van Doe guy who was like operating it and probably has the keys to the account.
There's both. There's like the Starry Night Fund and there's like 3AC themselves.
They have their own stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe they just put an auction on OpenSea per item.
That doesn't sound very bullish.
I actually think what will probably happen is some whale will reach out to them and or reach out to the liquidator and offer a bid and probably buy it reasonably cheap.
Yeah, if they could buy them in bulk, get a discount.
Yeah, I'll buy the whole portfolio, or I'll buy all the XYZs or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably what will happen. It'd be more fun if they did an auction. But
yeah, you know, Justin.
Someone in chat said they should do a lottery.
That'd probably make a ton of money, honestly.
Yeah, it would. You buy new, especially if you got 3AC tickets, like 3AC branded ticket NFTs. Yeah, that would work.
I mean, the only bad part about that is it would make corporations whole for the most part. Like, I guess there were some individuals, but I'd feel better about like a lottery to make people whole if it's for, you know, the retail people that lost money in one of the lenders or something. Versus like make Barry whole because Genesis lost money, you know. That doesn't feel as fun. I kind of
think that like the 3AC fans, at least one of them, is going to have like a big comeback arc, and it'll be quite contentious because I think they'll build it all back up. And it's like, is there an obligation to pay back?
Like Sue or Kyle?
Yeah.
I think they'll be lucky not to go to jail.
But even if they go to jail,
still have a comeback arc.
Like it's white collar, right? So like, how long do they go to jail for? Like 3, 5, 7 years?
I guess that's a good point.
And I imagine they have enough wealth extracted from the market, and I imagine there's enough people in the world with a lot of money that will go, look, I like what you did. You've got balls. You can manage my money. Like you just like, get a risk manager this time. If they even need to manage other people's money, I think they've probably extracted enough that's personally protected somewhere. Let's face it, we have on-chain world, like put in a private key. If no one knows about a private key, you're golden, right? And I think if you have an extended bull market, they clearly know how to trade a bull market. You borrow as much as you can from everywhere that'll let you have it, and you go super long. But when they've got it all back, there'll be a weird moral issue on like their entities still have holes in them from 3AC. This is not 3AC, but it's the 3AC founder. What are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to pay some back? Do they have to? Do they ever do it?
I don't think they would. I think you'd let that process be that process, but unless you can identify that they hid money and then brought it back when they were if they were like personally liable for these loans. I mean, I'm sure it's a ton of stuff locked up in paperwork, like what is actually on the terms and conditions. Is there a personal guarantee?
Make it all back in one television exclusive, one TV rights deal or something.
Yeah, I definitely think.
How much did that? There's that woman in jail or something who owed the government some significant sum of money, and Netflix bought the rights and basically paid it directly to the government, and she had some left over.
No, I didn't hear about that.
So they could just do something like that, maybe. Netflix don't have no money anymore, but
yeah, I feel like if whoever makes shows, if they had, there's some good stories to tell in the crypto world probably still.
So the things I've seen in chat they want us to mention or talk about: Gox unlock, Solana hack, BlackRock deal. There's another one, but I forgot it. I can't bother to talk about any of them. You?
Coinbase pumped like 30% pre-market because BlackRock's going to use them. That's not really news other than that.
Yeah. I thought BlackRock was evil and the devil or something.
They have managed a lot of money.
But isn't it just like people putting it into passive funds and stuff? But then they still get a seat on the board of those companies because they're BlackRock. Okay, so the power is centralized.
Yeah.
Piggybacking, even if they're not actively managing, they're piggybacking power on the people. I understand.
I forgot the other ones that you mentioned already.
Like the Gox unlock has been looming forever.
But that's not; those wouldn't like unlock all at one moment, would they?
Well, let's get someone who knows about it and can talk about it or something.
Maybe that's what we should do.
The Uniswap Foundation.
What did they do?
Pillaging the treasury again.
Oh, really?
With another. Yeah. They want 20 million and 14 million operating costs or something. So start a foundation, which is going to give money to good causes or something. I don't know.
Listen,
it's just another pillaging. I'm going to write another proposal because I think I can do a much better job of pillaging the treasury than these people. Like I can get way more money.
Yeah, I got one. Hear me out. Everything stays the same. Uni only. 50 million instantly payable to us, and then we just keep doing the show.
We will sell all of the uni on day one on the market for fun.
Yes,
to give sidelined people a buying opportunity. That's why it's good. It's like distributing uni to the people for cheap, so that it's like a reset of the ecosystem so more people can get in. And it's bad for the VCs because the price goes down. People love this.
We're like Robin Hood.
The VCs are the people voting. We need to pander to the VCs. All right, we'll change the proposal.
It's close.
We'll use the Uniswap to borrow dollars to market buy uni.
Do they have dollars in their treasury as well?
No, but we'll borrow them from someone else, like Voyager.
It has to be like half and half. If we're going to get 50 million, we at least need 25 million going to me, right?
All right, look, I'll write this tonight. Write this tonight.
Sounds good.
But the problem is the people voting is just A16Z and all these student groups that have been delegated to by VCs. So everyone just votes no because they don't want us to have the money. But the Uniswap Foundation, it's like their friends. Like the DeFi education fund, that was also their friends. So it's like then they vote yes for that one. So I think we're outsiders to that particular form of cronyism.
Is it still worth like 2, 3, 4 billion, something like that? The treasury.
What, Uniswap?
The treasury.
Oh yeah, I think it's quite a lot.
I mean, it's a pretty incredible amount of money.
Yeah. Someone said, "How does my AirPod Max work without delay?
Without
Without feedback?
a sound delay.
What?" All right, that's another question. All right, let's wrap it.
All right.
I want to have some food and then go to bed.
We appreciate y'all being here. It's been good. I don't know what I'll make the show title. Give me some proposals. But it was a pleasure. Go to uponly.tv. You can catch this episode more. Subscribe to us on YouTube. I never say that. I just said that. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Just search for Up Only. Subscribe.
Do we have any YouTube subscribers?
Yeah, I think we got a couple.
If we get one of those things that you get from YouTube, it's like a trophy.
Yeah, you got to get 100,000.
10 subscribers.
You got to get 100,000. I'm going to make sure I get that from YouTube. And then
Can we not ask for 2?
I don't think that's going to work. We'd have to figure out how to pay for it. I don't know.
Oh, we can give it away.
No, I want it.
Well, listen, I tried to give it away. It was him that said,
That's right. I need to put it in my office. All right, thanks. uponly.tv/FTX. Go there to trade today.
To fractionalize it for us.
Oh, fractionalize it. I'll maintain custody, but we'll fractionalize it. That's the way to do it. All right. Thanks for being here for Up Only. It's the third time I'm running the exit music. uponly.tv/FTX, where you can trade whatever assets they support. Whether you use US or .com is different, but fees are 0 on the mobile app. Track your portfolio like you've known and loved since 2014. Check out all their new products they got over on FTX. Thanks so much. Catch you later. Bye-bye.